Hey everybody, my name's Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things real estate on how you can take your company to the next level. It's been some time since I've been able to pin this guy down. He was one of the first guys I was going to have on the show, and we had all the scheduling craziness and then a couple COVID things. But
the holidays, Al.
Hey, you know, we finally got him, everybody. And his name is Pat Flynn from Yellowbird. Pat is not just an investor, and he's not just a super investor in the whole lineup. He's a rock star. He's a mover and shaker. And last but not least, he is a leader of the Yellowbird group, and he is amazing in the community. And he provides a wealth of knowledge and information as an investor, as a speaker, as an influencer. And he has just been taking it by storm since he's been with the Yellowbird group. So without further ado, Pat, hey, welcome. Finally got you.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Al. Thanks for saying all those nice things. Really excited to get into it today.
Oh, I got plenty more for you too. You're amazing at what you do, and you always have some great things and great thoughts to say. Like I was saying backstage with you, I love how lately you've really been taking all the email marketing by storm, and you're not just saying, "Hey, we got a deal here. Hey, we got a deal." You are such an influencer to the real estate community. You're always inspiring and lifting to people that are investing in the real estate community. You try to be, you know, you've been there before. Like when you first started, you saw what it was like, the grit, the grind, and you're open about that. So talk to us about how you got started. Where did this all come from? Where you are today in the real estate community?
Sure. I'll give you the quick backstory. So, I'm from Massachusetts, and I went to school up in New York at the Merchant Marine Academy, a military school. Because my old man was a Marine, I thought I wanted to be a Marine too. Went to school and found out that discipline and rules work really well for some people, but it just wasn't my strength. I had trouble following them, got in trouble, always kind of went against the grain with it. And it just didn't bode well at military school. So I ended up sailing in the Merchant Marine instead. The military school I was at, though, called Kings Point U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, also where Robert Kiyosaki went and graduated from. And he was also a rugby player there, and I was a rugby player there too. So the Kings Point rugby community is pretty tight. And Robert Kiyosaki comes every once in a while back to Kings Point just to speak for free because it's his alma mater. So he comes and speaks to the seniors. And he spoke to us that year in the auditorium, and it kind of planted the seed of the difference between, my goal was always to make money, but in my mind, I didn't know when I was 21 years old, graduating school, I had no concept of money. I didn't know what a lot of money was, not a lot of money was. I thought going out in the Merchant Marine, I thought out of school that was making great money, which it was, but he planted the seed of, the concept of rich dad, poor dad, the concept of acquiring assets and not trading time for dollars. And I didn't really think much of it then. I was 20 years old, 21 years old, I was an idiot. But it did plant that seed, and I went out in the Merchant Marine and I read his first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I just continued to read throughout my 7 years in the Merchant Marine. And throughout those 7 years too, I was living in Massachusetts, bought a piece of land during the recession, 2010. Pure dumb luck, I did really well on it. You couldn't screw anything up in 2010. I don't care what you bought, real estate related. But pure dumb luck, I did really well on that piece of land. Did some rental stuff with my friends up there. Moved down to Florida in 2013. Joined Jack's RIA immediately. So massive shout out to Jack's RIA. Their quick start courses still to this day. If you are in Jacksonville looking to get started in real estate, Jack's RIA, it's free. Like I think they charge you $30 or something to go to their quiz. It's phenomenal. Al, you teach one, right? You teach a quick start class on probate at Jack's RIA?
Oh yeah, and Jack's RIA, they expanded to just do quick starts. They do master classes.
Sure, yeah. There's so much. I'm just saying, if you know nothing, if you know absolutely nothing, like I did a land flip and a couple rentals in Mass. I knew nothing. And Jack's RIA, like everyone is welcoming, and I just had a really good experience with Jack's RIA, and kind of now, but I thought of myself as a lone wolf then. I was just kind of sucking it all in and thought I was going to do it all on my own. But then in 2015, I was still working in the oil field, but I finally bought my first rental in Jax Beach. Once again, I did well on it, but it was only because I got lucky and bought a rental in Jax Beach in 2015. That's the only reason. I still didn't know anything. Bought another triplex in 2016, and then in 2017 is when I got into it full time. I had been doing a little bit of wholesaling throughout 2016, which by a little bit of wholesaling, I mean I would send out postcards and mailers and go to the drilling rig offshore, where we did a lot of drilling in Scotland, Singapore, and the Gulf that year. But I'd work from 6 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. And then I'd get on the satellite phone and check my Google lines to see if anyone left me voicemails on from the direct mail I sent out. You can imagine I didn't buy a lot of houses that way, but it was a good experience, and it got me getting some rejection, talking to some people on the phone. And I think that's what you need in the beginning. You can't just jump into it. You're not just going to jump into it and kill it, especially if you're trying to be a lone wolf and do it on your own and think that everyone's not as smart as you. And that was I just didn't want anybody's help. I just wanted to do it on my own.
Well, that's super unique though, Pat, because I mean, you were doing real estate mailers and marketing while you were still working on the oil rig. Like go find somebody that was doing that, and like, you're not going to find that. And it's like being in the mountains, but you're marketing to Florida. Right. And hold on, let me find reception right now and see if anybody. That's really unique. And that's something that's really different about you, is that you are really good about finding different ways to make it work. And that happened early on for you.
What's funny about that, Al, is I didn't think that was unique or weird at the time. And it wasn't until like maybe 2018, I got like something I sent out back in 2016 got returned to sender. So it floated around in the postal service for like 2 years and finally got back to me. I was like, you know what? I used to send mailers in 2016 and like answer those calls on the sat phone on the rig. And that's kind of a weird thing thinking about it now. So it's kind of funny to look back on that, not think it was weird at the time.
Did you end up getting calls like a year or two later from those same mailers? Like, did you find out some of these people some of the sellers, they hold on to these things in their drawer, and then they call you, like, hey, I got your letter back 8 months ago. And you're like, wow, I thought nobody got it. Did you find that was happening out early on?
Maybe 6 months.
Okay.
Beyond, but like at this time, like I don't even know if that Google number I had on those mailers is active anymore, which is a weird thing to say, but I don't even know if it is. I should probably check.
Yeah, let's give it a try. We'll do it on air right now.
Get hold of me.
Yeah. Well, so backing up a second, you brought up a great point, because we'll get into Yellowbird. It's something that I talk about to people all the time. They're like, what's Yellowbird? What's Yellowbird? I'm like, this is this like massive mover and shaker group that like, as soon as we open up again, it's gonna be like 250 people coming in masses. But and you know that will happen. So back up though to Jax REIA, because the real estate community is very important, and education, teaching, inspiration, influencing is very important when first starting out. When you were going to those REIA meetings, at that point, were you thinking about starting a group, or, what was your take from, or the benefits of being part of that Jax REIA community?
That's a really good question. There's kind of two answers to that. When you're first getting started in real estate, it is extremely intimidating, especially when you don't know anything. So I can tell you, I'm just being super honest with you here.
Give it to me.
My feelings when I first started going to Jax REIA, at Jax REIA, there's a lot of new people, right, that have never done a deal before. I was one of them. I had bought some rentals. I did a land flip in Massachusetts, but I don't count those as deals. That was luck. That was me just like jumping into it and getting lucky. Like I wasn't skilled. I hadn't done a deal besides convert a rental property. So when I see a lot of other new people there, it was tough mentally to be like, I'm trying to get into this. I'm trying to flip houses. So are all these people here too. And they're all my competition. And all of us are just thirsting for this knowledge. And I almost felt like an idiot there. Like I'm just one of like 100 people, and however many people in Jacksonville want to learn to flip houses. Like, who doesn't want to learn to flip houses? Right? I felt like an idiot. And I sucked in all the knowledge that I could, and I tried to meet people, but it was a big ego thing for me, man. Like, it was like going from, I like to, like, on offshore, I was in a subsea position. I ran a small team of guys that got, we were some of the higher paid, more important people on the rig. And when I went to Jack's RIA, back of the line, brother. You're at the back of the line. You don't know shit. Bottom of the totem pole, and that's a tough ego thing. And what I related it to is I was at a conference about a month ago, and Ben Wallace, from the Detroit Pistons, spoke at it.
Yeah.
And he would talk about being on the top of the world, beating the Lakers in the NBA championship, and then his career faded, and one day he retired, and now he's going out into the real world. And he's like, now what? Right? And he talked about that concept of being on the top of the world in the NBA. You're a professional athlete making $18 million a year or whatever it was. And now you're at the back of the line again. What are you going to do? Are you going to coach? What the hell do you know about coaching? Back of the line. And that's what it felt like for me. And it was a very tough, when people come to my Pints with Pats or whatever, I say, forget about that ego thing in the beginning. You're going to feel like an idiot going there because everyone is, trying to get the knowledge and trying to suck from the people that do have knowledge there. But it's just, that's a really tough thing to get over. And it was a tough hurdle for me. And I feel like saying it, if people on your podcast, if people listen to it, they can relate to it. I know if I had heard that when I was first trying to be like, oh, like everyone's feeling that way. It's not just me. I think that could help a few people out.
So you were in it for almost 2-3 years. And then I guess at some point you had met Kyle. I don't know when you met Kyle, because that's got to be an interesting story. Kyle Paskowitz.
That was in 2017. I jumped into it full time because my first daughter was born, and I had been planning my exit, but 2017 was the time. And my girlfriend at the time, baby mama, Jane, now wife, we're married now. We're
all right.
She was working for a real estate team called the Edge Group, run by Jamie Kahara. I don't know if you know him.
No.
Good dude, but she was a realtor in that Edge Group with Keller Williams. And Jamie had just taken over the American Homes for Rent account. So I, once again, tail between legs, not knowing really shit, went up to Jamie and was like, hey man, I'm humbly asking you, like I'm coming shoreside full time. I'm going to do real estate full time. Let me help you with the American Homes account. Like I know about investing. I know what wholesaling is. I know what rental numbers need to be. Let me help you and let me be this piece. Let me add some value. And he was like, you know what? Why don't I introduce you to Kyle? Right? Like, you should meet Kyle. You guys should just meet. Right? So we met through Jamie, and I worked for Kyle for free, just trying to find deals and really just sucking off his brain power for a couple months, got a couple deals. And then we started an entity where I wasn't a part of the whole operation. I was on my own, but they took a piece of everything I did. And the agreement was, Pat, you run the direct to seller marketing campaign. You go find deals. We will provide you hard money at 12 and 2, and we'll support you in construction. But right now our bottleneck is deals. So have at it, Hoss. If you can go out and be a part of this and use your own money to do marketing and bring us deals, let's do it. So I pinned my ears back and did 67 deals that first year. And I was just talking about it last night, but it's not because I'm any sort of superhero. It's because I focused on one thing, that finding deals. That's all I gave a shit about. I didn't have to go around, try to find hard money, put closings together, do transaction coordinate. I had to deal with some crazy people and talk them off the ledge a few times, but I didn't have to deal with the other pieces that go along with real estate and dealing with Jacksonville contractors, any of that BS. So I was able to take a small piece of every deal and do a ton of deals right off the bat. Once again, that's not because I'm special. That's just because that's a situation I was in. Kyle helped mentor me and showed me the important part, which was the deal finding. And it took off from there. In 2018, me and Kyle and Steve got along really well. We decided to become full partners in everything in mid-2018. And then in the rest of 2018 went really well. And 2019 was Yellowbird.
Yeah, I mean, it just like it seemed like it happened really quick because I got to Jacksonville like August 2018. I hadn't really gotten my feet wet because I was just at the firm. I was just learning all like the other stuff. And then I think it was about like February or March when like there was a lot of chirping about like, there's this new group. There's a new group. I'm like, what's this new group? And they're like, it's Yellowbird. I'm like, oh, because we know Jack's RIA, we know maybe the Jack's REIF group, but
I met you at the Jack's RIA event where you had a booth there at Jack's RIA. At the,
yeah, that was the first time I was handing out my probate seminars like crazy. Any person that came to the table, I was like, you need to be here for probate. And everybody's like, this guy's nuts. And I got everybody's attention. I think I spotted you out, actually, true story, because I knew who you were to the community. And I was like, gosh, this guy's Pat. He's really big. I'll make sure I get him. And I was like, I was holding one flyer. I'm like, he's coming. I got him. So true. But Yellowbird was blowing up 2019. You had like, I wasn't there at the first couple groups, but when I finally came in like June 2019, it was like, you had like 100 people, 150 people. It was huge. How did that, as somebody, because you're very different, Pat, you're not just the super investor, you are a leader of this group. How did you feel when you were first running it? Like, so many investors would probably want to do their own group, but you've been doing it with Kyle. Like, how did you feel when you were running it, and what are you doing differently now?
So the whole idea behind the group was not to outdo Jack's RIA or put them out of business or anything. It was to give people kind of a different experience. We did it at Jack's Golf and Country, which is a higher end. It's a higher end venue. People have weddings there and stuff. So we just wanted to be really nice, and we thought it could be done better. We thought the idea of networking could be done better. And as far as running the group and being the speaker in it, surprisingly, that came very natural to me because I had come from, I think I relate to a lot of people because I come from a blue collar background of work. It doesn't get much more blue collar than working offshore in the offshore drilling industry. I mean, it just doesn't. So I have perspective. I'm moving from that, actually setting goals and fighting through that battle, which is the first year where you don't really make much money, and battling into this industry that's tough to be in. So I have that perspective. So I think it makes it very easy for me to talk to people about that transition and talking about goals and talking about, like, I can be super blunt with it and tell people exactly what I did, and I don't try to hide anything. So I think that it works really well for me because I can easily have those conversations because I was there, and that's why me and Kyle have a good partnership, because Kyle is way more knowledgeable than me as far as Jacksonville real estate and the market. He's been through the crash and everything. But it's unique because that's what he did right out of college. He's been doing it for 15 years, way longer than me. So it's good to have that perspective of that immense knowledge base Kyle has, where with me, I have a completely different background, and we've come together. And I think we attack it from those two angles, and people find a lot of value in that because the community really, really looks up to Kyle. I mean, that's part of the reason it blew up so quick is, Kyle and Jacksonville real estate go hand in hand. So I think that teamed up with me and my background made it very special, and that kind of higher end feel, and us just being genuine. Like we're really genuine, and we truly do want to give. We don't hide anything because this is an execution and consistency business. Like you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it.
Right. Like, you're in or you're out.
Nothing we do is a secret, right? You just do it over and over and over again. So I think that's why it works so well. Al, no one's ever asked me that before.
Yeah, I mean, I think the groups is so much. It's an interesting topic, right? Because we could talk about the best deal you wholesaled or, the best flip you had, but growing a group in a community is so important. I think, Pablo Gonzalez is all about this, and Wally's all about this. So, it takes
supporters of ours.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're huge
along the way.
Huge proponents of community and growing and building everybody together. And it's funny because I think I remember you said something to me before you did Yellowbird. You weren't speaking so much, and like Yellowbird almost like thrusted you into a leadership position for speaking. Even when we did that January 2020 at the distillery, you were just like, you know, every time you were doing these events, it like thrusted you, the spotlights on you. That's got to be so different and opening a group. And then I loved what you and Kyle did with the whole, let's make these like little side things for the community and made it more intimate with Pints with Pat and Breakfast with Kyle, right? Like how did that come up? Because that's inspiring even to somebody like me. I love to do coffee with Al, or, you know, like lunch with Al, but you know, those take time, number one. So what is the value for people that come to those things, and where did that originate from?
It originated from the fact that the opposite of when I tried to get into the business and I thought I'd be this lone wolf by myself, to the fact that you make money in real estate by talking to people. And not even real estate, you make money in life by talking to people. If you ever read any Grant Cardone's books, it's all in who you know. The more people you meet, the more people that know your name, the more money you will make, and the bigger your net worth will grow, and you just become more an influential person for everybody. So the roots of Pints with Pat and Breakfast with Kyle are actually very selfish. We thought we could add value to people, but at the same time, the main goal of it is deal flow. The more people know us, and the more people that know what we do and how easy it is to work with. If you send me a deal, I'm going to tell you yes or no within 5 seconds. If I say I'm going to do it, I will close on it. 150%, I will close on it, unless there is some sort of pandemic, like black swan event. But I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And for a new investor to have that backing, that was the other piece of it. It's like, I want to give other people the same opportunity I have, which Kyle offered me. You know, I'll give you hard money and I'll manage your construction. What if I offered everybody that? Hey, and that's what I do at Pints with Pat. It's like, you want to go and find deals? I'll literally, you can talk to your sellers like you have the cash to close it tomorrow because you have me behind you, and you have every opportunity to go out and just do as many deals as you can, because I'll fund all, as long as they're deals, I'll fund all of them, do construction, and cut you in on the profit. I'll cut you in on the profit for more than I got paid when I first started, because deals are just that important right now. So it's giving people that opportunity. And selfish, I say selfish because we're giving as much as we're taking, but I want to meet more people to do more deals with more people, and I want everyone to rise together.
And then
the goal behind that.
And then came the Pea Pod. So Mary Henton is the queen of the Pea Pod. You know, she's like leading it. I know we keep calling her that and saying she's queen of the Pea Pod.
The queen of the Pea Pod.
You know, you know, that's another little side thing that you've developed, and something you wanted to talk about today about mentorship. And especially I still loved your answer when you were at the Jax REIF panel and they were like, what did you think about mentorship? And you were like, well, read this book first and then come back to me. You know, cause you know, it's true. I mean, you got to make the effort yourself before, you know, you have to be on your 2 feet and be willing and have a desire to grind and get and go before you get to that next level. So talk to us about how you get to that mentorship level and what's the significance of the Pea Pod. You know, there's so many investors that will watch this at some point, or they'll see the micro and they'll be like, whoa, what's this Pea Pod? How do we get involved?
You know what's interesting about the Pea Pods? Pea Pod stands for performance or progress through execution and accountability. And all it is that I tell a group of people what to do and hold them accountable to the numbers each week. And if they don't hit the numbers, they're out. And that's all it is. I mean, there's no secrets in real estate. It's just consistency and doing it over and over again and being able to eat shit over and over again. There's absolutely no secret. And what I've found in the Pea Pod is 95% of people would rather pay fortune builders $50,000 to go and show them a PowerPoint presentation on how screwed they're getting by the man working their 9 to 5, how easy it is to make $50,000 on a wholesale deal. And people just want to be rah-rah and gassed up. They don't want to actually do the work that gets you there, which is the shitty part. Like it's real estate's easy to sell, right? Look at this $70,000 deal I did. Look at this $40,000. All I did was spend this much in marketing and the deals just came in. It does not fucking work like that. Ask Mary. Ask Mary, ask any of the people that have done the pea pods. And Mary was very, very successful in the pea pod. She made great money. She did like 3 deals while we were in it. And they were phenomenal win-wins, but Mary freaking grinded.
Oh,
And
yeah.
me and Mary had some tough, we had some tough conversations in the pea pod, and she, came out stronger, and now she's killing it. Like, I bought another deal from her a couple months ago. So this is a girl also at Kings Pointer who just figured it out and figured out that there was no secret to it. It was consistency. The first book we read, I make everybody read in the pea pod, is called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Have you read that, Al?
No, but it sounds like a good
Oh
book.
man, very, very good. Darren Hardy's a little bit of a guru type, but his book and the concepts in it ring true with what we do in the pea pod, which is consistent numbers each week. Some weeks will go by and people will do a lot of work and nothing even comes of it, not even a lead. And I tell everyone those are my favorite weeks. When you're doing the work and nothing comes in, these are the weeks that, down the line when stuff comes in and you're feeling good, those were the tough weeks when you were hammering it, that now you're reaping the benefits a month down the road. And that's why I keep telling people it's so hard to stay motivated, because the guys are working hard. They're spending 4 or 5 hours a week away from their families doing this lead generation stuff I have them doing. And you have to keep them motivated, because it can be really, really deflating, especially when you finally get a deal and it falls through, or it's competitive right now. Some other wholesaler beats you out by $500 and they take their offer over yours. It can be devastating. But the reality of it is, like in the Friday email I sent out last week, the only way you can fail is if you quit, right? That is literally the only way you can fail, is if you decide to quit and stop doing it, decide it's not worth it anymore. Because guess what? There's tons of deals in Jacksonville. There's so much distress in the city of Jacksonville. It is one of the best cities in the country to flip houses. I truly believe that, because we're part of a lot of networking groups around the country. The margins are good. The price points are good. It's getting tougher and more competitive now, but the only way you would fail is if you quit. Like, a lot of people quit before, they finally get their first deal, but it's very difficult.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a tough business out there. You got to keep selling, and something will come of it. But it's amazing that you offer the ability for new investors or people that want to step up to the plate. Like Mary, though, had that from the beginning. I think I met her the first time at the Southern Swells Pints with Pats that you had. And I could just tell, like, she was like, I really want to do real estate. I really want to. So she was really into it then. And it's like, you got to see that drive. And so reading the book Compound Effect, and what would be like that other tip to be, getting that mentor? Like, what would be that next step to really like finding that next groove as an investor?
I would say what I tell people is everybody's different. Like, not everyone needs or wants to have a company like Yellowbird. It comes with more problems, right? Me and Kyle have to do a certain amount of deals each month just to keep the damn lights on, right? I mean, there's a lot of pressure on us to do that. So not everyone, it's not the right fit for everyone. Some people, I mean, John Denise comes to mind, where him and his wife do 20 flips a year and they kill it. That's a great, he has great connections where he buys from wholesalers, and he enjoys doing the renovations, and he knows his numbers well, and he knows his lenders, and he's just got a freaking groove. And him and his wife just kill it. Maybe that's the path you want to take. Maybe you should talk to John about doing that. Maybe your goal is to have 10 to 20 rentals. Then I point you in the direction of Sean Group, who did a phenomenal job buying rentals and having someone else manage them and get his cash flow right, and how he manages bad tenants, and how he financed his first 10 properties. Then I would talk to someone like Sean. And there's just so many different directions you can go. If you want to wholesale, like, maybe don't talk to Gonzalo first, who's got a big company with a bunch of employees and also got a bunch of overhead. Maybe talk to someone like Mary, who's doing 6 deals a year and doing some wholesaling. Or, just talk to someone that's, don't try to reach for the person that's 20 levels above you right off the bat. There's someone that's just a little bit better than you that can help you much better than someone like Kyle can. Honestly, like, not only with Kyle can probably help you better with what you should be doing, but as far as like your mindset and what your goals should be that year and what is realistic and what's going on in the market right now on the ground level, there's probably better choices along the way. So I would say, to answer that, Al, think more about what you want to do in real estate. And of course, you're not going to know, especially at the beginning, but just go to network events and talk to people. When I first got into it, I thought I was going to get my general contractor's license and just hammer through houses on my own, because I come from a background of managing guys on offshore, managing workers, and I was good at that. I was good at forcing jobs to get done. I thought that was going to be my path. I was going to get my GCs, but after getting into it and talking to other wholesalers and talking to Kyle who's flipping houses, I was way more interested in the money side. It drew me more than I don't give a shit about the color of a countertop or the design of a kitchen. I mean, that's what Kyle's really good at. I care more about volume and money and the business. That's just, I've leaned much towards that, and working with my employees and growing the company. It interests me much more than the design of a kitchen or anything like that.
Well, if there was ever a time that you really had to be more in tuned with your company, and what a crazy time to actually start a mentorship, but being more in tune with how do I become a leader in even my own company? It's not just the money, but what do we do and group together, was when COVID hit. I mean, I remember like when we were talking like early March, and we were just like, oh, what's going on? What's happening with the market? And then everybody just started, all the contracts fell through and everything just started blowing up. And then I remember hearing the whole panel talk about what happened at, what you all were doing and how you stepped up to the plate in the Yellowbird community, not just community, but your company. And you stepped up and said, I'm going to keep this together. I'm going to work together. And Kyle was like really impressed with what you did and kept everybody together. Talk to us about that moment as a business owner and business manager, moving the company along in a really tough time like COVID. What happened during that time, and how did everything shake out for you after, real estate wise?
So when coronavirus first hit, it was lingering in China, right? Remember, like December, January, it was like, like little tweets, coronavirus kind of lingering over there, and I thought nothing of it whatsoever. I don't know that anyone did. Like, did you think anything about it in January? Like, you heard about it, right? But it's
right. Until I saw some people wearing masks in Italy, and then I'm thinking, wait a second, is this thing spreading and getting everywhere? And then the music on CNBC started like being gloom and doom. I'm like, all right, maybe it's coming.
So it hit us hard in March, right? In March, Yellowbird sold a lot of stuff to hedge funds. We have really good hedge fund relationships. We have great working relationships with these funds that buy in Jacksonville. Create win-wins with everyone. It's just a good relationship. We have 15 houses under contract with them. Every single one of them, they backed out. In a lot of cases, they left binders on the table. So we're a little shocked at this point because we're doing a lot of volume. We probably own 70 houses at that time. So the balance sheet was aggressive, to say the least, and we didn't know what was going to happen. It's a black swan event, right? We didn't know if they were going to shut down construction, shut down the whole city, shut down title companies. So now we have these 70 houses and a massive balance sheet, and we're paying private money interest on these houses that not only we can't renovate, we can't move, we can't sell, we can't do anything. And they're flips in progress, so they're not making any money. There's no tenants in them. A lot of them are in disrepair or in the middle of construction, or if you have this balance sheet and you're paying interest on it, and your private lenders don't care that you're in this situation. It would just be, imagine being stuck with that, with say we had $8 million in private money paying 10% interest on it. That's a big nut each month. So we made the conscious decision to sell everything off at loss and break even numbers. So we gave up our whole pipeline. We shut down marketing. We stopped buying, and we sold everything. And we didn't make any money off it, but we were very successful in our mission of getting the balance sheet to zero and getting rid of our pipeline. We're at the same time not screwing over the sellers that were in our pipeline. We set people up. There were still people buying. There were still mom and pops buying in Jacksonville. So we set them up with houses. A lot of people got phenomenal deals during that time period. And you look back, and obviously I wish I didn't do that, right? I wish I knew what was going to happen. The hottest market Jacksonville's ever seen, and now I have no pipeline. Now I have no inventory, but it was still the right decision. And I appreciate, my business partners who have way more experience than me, kind of coaching us through that time period. Everyone stayed calm in Yellowbird. No one has egos. No one panicked. And that's what we did. It ended up, in hindsight, obviously I wish we didn't do that, but it was still the right decision given the circumstances. So as far as leading a company through that, everyone was just as confused as I was, right? Nobody knew what was going to happen. No one knew what was going to happen to the market. No one knew what was going to happen to the world. No one had any idea. There was so much misinformation from CNN, Fox News. Nobody knew shit, right? Here is what I think, needs to happen during that to get a company through this. Somebody needs to take control. I don't care what you know or what you don't know. Someone needs to take control and tell everyone what's happening. Whether it's right or wrong, you need a path and you need to do something. So that's what I did during it. I just took control, let everyone know what was happening, let everyone know what Yellowbird was doing, and we took it day by day. And I stayed in contact with everyone. We shut down the office because we were trying to do our part. No one in our office was really scared of it, but it was the right thing to do at the time to social distance, not for us, but for everybody else. So we had everyone work from home. We shut down for like 2.5 months, but we kept up our Zoom calls. A lot of good things came from it. I started Yellowbird Book Club, which is now called Sequoia Club, where we all the Yellowbird people read a book over a 6-week time period, split the book in 3 and talk about it every 3 weeks. So that was brought up during that.
Wow, I didn't even know you were doing that.
Stepped up to the plate. We had standout people like Sarah that just she'd only been working with us a couple months. Now we sent her home and said, "Hey, Sarah, we have 60 houses to sell. You can get that done." So we had different people step up to the plate. We had some culture things that were really good during that. A group of us would work out together. I tried to keep us together doing that. We'd work out together and run on the beach once a week in the morning, the book club, and really just taking control. What you don't want to do is just when something like that happens, let it linger and let everyone in the company go home and nobody knows what's going on. So someone needs to lead you through that, whether the person that's leading you knows what the fuck he's talking about or not. At least there's someone leading it and heading you down a path. So I think that's how you get a company through, whether it's a smaller company like us or a big company. Someone needs to take control and own it. And that's what I think we did a really good job with.
It really starts from the top. I mean, it's a culture there at Yellowbird. And you and Kyle and Steve and everybody that's there, I mean, you probably have meetings about like the direction of things and regrouping and where's everybody at and mindset. I mean, it takes a whole culture to do these things. It takes just that mindset is so important. And you have that. I see that in you. You're always refocusing and getting back to the nuts and the bolts of how do we make this happen? How are we driving forward? It's just so important. Your business can't move forward without doing that. And like you just said, going through COVID, it had to be scary and nobody knew what was going on. I mean, I'm at the office. All the ladies were sent home, right? But I still had to go in because I had to answer the phones. I was like the only one there because, you have to step up to the plate, right? Like you have to all of a sudden take on more jobs. I didn't want to be the receptionist, but I still had to do this and do that. So I totally get how everybody had to come together. And it was just an amazing story, even when Kyle was telling it at the panel at Jack's REF. Don't worry, people are listening, Pat. I was listening. I heard what was going on during that time. So, getting to your super investor side, right? So like all of what we've been talking about is you being a leader for this Yellowbird group, but at the end of the day, you are the buying company for homes. So you're investing or you're doing whatever, wholesaling. So when it gets to the down in it parts, sellers. So when you finally what methods have you found works for Yellowbird as far as marketing, or is it just word of mouth and networking? Like, have you found that now it's the social media that's working? Is it still the texting and still mailing that's still working? In terms of getting a hold of the sellers, what have you found as a strategic marketing strategy that is working for Yellowbird?
So we have no secrets here too. And I'll tell you right before coronavirus, when we were rocking and rolling, the plan for 2020 was a deal every single day. So we were going to buy 360 houses in 2020. And before coronavirus hit, we were on track. I mean, I think we were in March when coronavirus hit, and we had bought like 60 something houses at that point. So we were like, no, it was high 50s. When coronavirus hit, we were at like 53, which was almost right on track to doing a deal every single business day. So what was working during that time period when we were rocking and rolling, it was a combination of everything. And there's nothing in my mind that really stands out as being any better. It's just about being good. The reason we do so much volume is we're super consistent with everything. So Kyle does this foreclosure auction for Duval, St. John's, Nassau, Clay County every single day. He's on HUD auction every single day. Auction.com, HUDZoo, Zone. He's on there every single day. Kyle's on wholesalers every single day. I'm on my wholesalers every day. So Kyle with the auction is probably about a third of our business before COVID. Me and Kyle's wholesalers, relationships with people like you, Al, with real estate agents, that's probably another third, relationships and networking. And then the last third was direct to seller marketing, which was before coronavirus was just handled by me and Monica. We did the whole thing, just us two. So it was around 30 consistently every month. And then coronavirus hit, obviously we shut everything down. Now we're ramping it back up, getting marketing back going. There's no auctions really. Kyle's buying maybe 3 a month or so on the auctions, just because right now there's no inventory. You still have the hangover from coronavirus stuff not going through. Yeah. Me and Kyle still have our wholesaler relationships, so there's a couple there, but not as many. I think it's a combination of the market's so hot, there being a lot of competition. So you have a little bit there, 5 or so a month, and the rest of our inventory comes from our direct to seller marketing campaign, which we've really doubled down on. And as far as there being a specific source, there's not. We spend a lot of money on direct mail. We spend a lot of money on Google PPC. We spend money on Facebook. We spend money on specialized lists, probate, lists, tenants, inheritance. None of it's a secret. If you Google how to find off-market houses, we'll give you a list, and everything on that list we do. So it's about having every line in the water all the time and being consistent more than anything else. And I will give you a shift that we've taken this year that I give
Oh, please do.
credit for. We've committed to spend a lot of money in marketing in 2021 and direct to seller marketing. And I had a lead goal that I wanted to hit. We want to hit 30 direct to seller deals every single month. So that's not including Kyle's auctions or our wholesale relations. That's 30 direct to seller deals every single month. And I figured out, based on our conversion rates, that ends up generating 450 to 500 leads a month in order to do 30 deals. So I did the math on what it would cost us to spend that much in marketing. And then we slowly started spending more, and it was tracking a little bit. But at this point, I've come to the conclusion that you can't just spend all that money. It's not that simple as spending that money, generating that many leads, and closing that many deals. There's another piece of it. I think maybe in 2017, when the market was a little softer and not as competitive, maybe we could have done that, but it's just so competitive right now. I think there's 2 pieces to it. You need to have the balls to spend the money, and you need a very aggressive sales team that's not only going out and closing deals, but also hammering the phones and hammering stuff like the tax deed list, foreclosures with equity. So, like even a call center, outbound marketing. You need activity in the office. You need a culture of, we call it hungry dogs pull harder at Yellowbird, a hungry dogs pull harder culture. And I think that, in addition to spending a lot of money on marketing, can get us to where we need to go. But it's just not easy to do, right? You can spend the money. How are you going to spend the money? Are you spending it smart? Who's going to manage this aggressive sales team? How are you going to keep these guys motivated when they have shitty months? So it's putting all that together, and that's what I'm really enjoying. And I think that's our blue. I'm holding nothing back. That's our blueprint for how we're going to get there. Is spending a lot of money in marketing, and hiring great salespeople.
That's amazing. I'm glad you shared that with us because by the time this gets posted, it'll probably be, I don't know, March or April. So you'll already be 4 months in it before everybody goes, oh, wait a second, we need to shift our strategy for 2021. If Pat's doing this, we're doing this too. So
you know what, Al? It's not even like I have no problem putting that out there because it is so fucking difficult to acquire the right people, motivate them the right way, pay them the right way, keep the right culture in your office, have the capital to spend, have the capital to attack the deals that they're actually bringing in, maximize them. It's just like, if someone can do that and compete against me, like I'm all about it because it's not easy for me to do either. I mean, it is a challenge. It's a big challenge.
So with all of this shift in what you're doing marketing wise, are you finding that it's also a shift to what market you're targeting? Because it's funny when you talk about how Jacksonville, you can have, there's so many different types of properties here. I mean, it's a great place for investing because when you look at it on a map on like a property appraiser, you're like, oh, it's just, that county. It's not that much. But then like when you zoom in, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of houses. So Jacksonville is a huge market for it. But are you finding that Yellowbird is like, wait a second, we have an opportunity with Florida, period. Are you looking for other markets, maybe Orlando, Tampa, or Panhandle? Or are you just diving deeper? Or are you guys also thinking we're go deep and wider?
Right now, in our 3 and 5 year plans, we have no plans to move out of Jacksonville. We don't think we're maximizing it here yet, and I think smartly we're making the decision that until we think we have fully saturated Northeast Florida, so Duval, St. John's, Nassau, Clay County, so we feel like we have fully saturated that to where we're sucking all the juice out of where we're at, and set a team up to do that. There's no point in trying to get another market. I just think there's a ton of distress here in Jacksonville, and if we try to compete with the guys that are, I mean, if someone from Tampa try to compete here with us, you'll get a house every now and again, but you're not going to beat us most of the time. We're too quick to react. I can get a guy out there in an hour. He knows his numbers. He's a great set. Like, it's just going to be hard to compete with me if you're from Tampa. Just like if I go down to Tampa, I'm sure there's guys there that it's going to be hard to compete with. And not that that's any sort of excuse. I just think it's better monetarily and for our people if we stay here in Jacksonville until we fully maximize it and then move on to the next thing. Maybe it is a different market. Maybe it's getting deeper into the retail side of stuff with realty and title and mortgage. We haven't decided yet, but right now we're solely focused on buying single family in Jacksonville and maximizing it.
It's so funny. I always get a different answer depending on the investor or a title company I'm having on, because like I'll have a couple guys that may be from like the South Florida area, and they're telling me like, 2018, 2019, before COVID hit, they're like, oh yeah, the Tri-County, Miami-Dade, Broward, West Palm, Miami-Dade, Broward, West Palm. And then COVID hits and it's almost like it burst the bubble for even them. And they're like, oh yeah, now we're in Naples. Now we're in Tampa. Now we're going middle Florida. And then, there's that expression, sometimes you got to go deeper, not wider. But I love that, the Yellowbird strategy is to really just keep focusing, whether short-term or long-term, on the Jacksonville community. So, Pat, like, I don't know who's answering the phones there, but I'm sure you have when a seller calls. How are you when you get that call? This is a great tip for new investors out there, but how are you building trust with that seller when you get that call from the marketing? Or what are you doing? Are you providing that solution? But how do you build trust with that person so that you can move on to the next step, which is the contract phase?
So I don't know that this is right or wrong. I think the common practice for something like this is to have a script, right? So that every time you answer the phone, it's exactly the same. Oh, I'll say this, say that. I kind of want a different route with it. I don't know if it's right or not, but it works for us. I hire an emotionally intelligent person, a high B on the culture index person, to answer the phone that knows how to read people. And I tell Monica, the only thing I give a shit about on this phone call is for that person to hang up the phone at the end and be like, I like her. That's all I care about. I don't care what like obviously if you're going to talk, you're going to get some information, and here's the guide. I want you to, and Monica has a guide of questions to ask and a route to take a phone call if it's that type of person that is just yes, no, give me an offer. That sort of person. She knows how to lead them down a path and ask the right questions. But I tell her, number one, more important than anything else, I want them to hang up the phone and be like, man, she was cool. That was a pleasant conversation. That was easy. She was very easy to talk to. I feel good about that because that's all that matters at the end of the day. I said, I don't care if you, I mean, we set the appointment before we are even going to qualify people. If they understand that we're an investment company, and that's what she does. She makes them understand that we're an investment company. We're going to come in all cash, but we'll also, we're transparent. We'll point you down the right path. We'll give you a couple options. And if they understand that, I tell her, just set the appointment. I don't give a shit. I mean, Gabe makes money when he's in front of people, talking to people face to face. Set him as many appointments as you can possibly set him on. That's how we make money. Set Jana as many appointments as you can possibly set her on. So that's what Monica does. She's focuses on, we track it each week, her conversion rate. She needs to be converting 1 in every 3 net leads. So a net lead is a person that has his house to sell. So not someone calling you, telling you to F off, taking me off your list. It's someone that's an actual person with a house to sell. She needs to be converting 1 in every 3 of those to a face-to-face appointment. And she's doing a great job with that. And all I tell her is convert the appointment, and I want the person to hang up and think you're awesome and have a very pleasant, I don't care if you talk to them for 20 minutes. Like that's all that matters in my opinion, because it's like, you think about, Al, if you're pissed off at AT&T or something and you call their service department and the girl's super cool with you and she's like, oh my God, Al, yeah, that's no problem, and relates to you and it's an easy conversation. You feel good when you hang up the phone. You're like, I fucking like her. Like that was pleasant. I hate AT&T, but I like that girl.
Right.
So it's that's what I push hard.
Yeah, I've had a little different experience though with AT&T. The conversations usually don't go like that. And if I do, I'm already asking for the supervisor and then I want my 4 months free or something like that. But it's funny when you just told us that tip right there. The one thing I was thinking was like, it's almost like data metrics, like high type B personality on that scale. Like that's almost like an important employee to have. I don't know why I'm thinking like a Moneyball situation. Like, how do we make this all work in the company, finding the right people? But like, that's an important role, right? That's an important role to have there. Monica, I did not know Monica was like that. And having that
you're not just the person that answers the phone. You are the person that is answering $4,000 phone calls. $4,000 phone calls. If they're leads, they're $400 phone calls. But if it's a deal, it's a $4,000 phone call. Like, I told Monica, I don't care what the hell you're doing during the day. Like, answer that is the most important thing that you do. And don't downplay it like it's not important. It's hugely important. It's the most important. That's where the money comes in.
Right.
So letting her know how important she is to the operation, and it's not just answering the phones. You are converting people.
Right.
But we got a good team. We got a good team. We got a good culture, and that's why it works.
So if I had to ask you this, and this is one of my signature questions I ask now on the podcast, and if probate's the answer, just let me know it's probate. Because if it's not probate, then we still have to talk about probate. But you get so many deals, whether it's from the wholesalers, whether it's from you finding it direct to seller, maybe it's Kyle picking up. Every time I see, I got a call the other day about a foreclosure. I think the homeowners missed the date for the court hearing, and then I saw the sale date coming up, and I looked up the house. I'm like, wow, this looks nice. Now I think Kyle every time, right? So whether it's like the auctions or probate or anything, what is one of the biggest deal killers that comes across the Yellowbird company desk? Is it title? Is it judgments on title? Is it just the sellers maybe not letting you in the house? I always get a different answer with this. So what is the biggest deal killer for you all?
That's an interesting question. Can answer that by saying, I think we really do close most of what we contract, but what is the biggest deal killer? I would say we've lost a lot recently to liens. So we've had some great deals that are kind of thin, like 3 in the past month, which have come to mind now, to where people are just trying to get rid of the house. And there was one in Clay County, it was a rolling fine where it's like $100 a day for like, 900 days or something like that. And in Clay County, that's not an easy thing to release. So, then now the house costs 60 grand more than it did a couple days ago. So little things like that. And like you said, judgments on people and blemishes on title that hold stuff up, and then people getting cold feet because they think you're giving them the runaround because the title company won't close it. And yeah, that is probably the biggest killer. Title issues, which would have to do with liens or judgments on people or those sort of things.
Yeah, I always get a different one. Like sometimes they tell me, oh, it's the appraiser, or they tell me that it's the judgments, right? Because the septic tank wasn't supposed to be in that code. And so for all these years, the fine has gone up. They're not going to reduce it. So it's a whole different ball game that you're looking at. But so because probate wasn't the answer, Pat, tell me about probate. I talk about this now in every episode. I have to. If I don't cover this, I mean, what's the point, right? I don't know. I think before you and I met, I don't know what your feelings were on it, but what has been something in the probate world, either a story, an experience, something that you can share about it, even in your investing world before, I don't know, this year, next year? What is something to you in the probate world that's been like a story or something that's happened?
Probate is essential to anyone looking to scale in this business. It's probably, probate on average are probably our biggest margin deals that we do. And here's how we do them. Probate is very confusing for some people. It's confusing for me. I just know it costs money, and people like Al are really good at dealing with it. But when you can tell these people that are up in Michigan, when their parents just passed away down in Florida, and the house is in disarray and it's disgusting, and they need to renovate it, go through a probate, and then sell it with a real estate agent. So that's 3 different contacts that these people don't have that they now have to make in Jacksonville. When you can be that person, when they call Yellowbird and Monica's super cool with them, they hang up the phone, they're like, I like that girl. And then Gabe goes and meets them face to face and is like, you know what? Like, we're here to make money. This is what the house is worth. This is what I can offer you. This is the margin I need. I need to make 10 grand off this, or it doesn't make sense in us doing it. I'm going to put 50 grand into the house. There's this much in closing costs. So you can very much do it on your own, or you can take this cash offer here. At the same time, if you take this cash offer here, I will also deal with the probate 100%. Oh, and I'll also front the money from it 100%. So I will take care of all the legal stuff to put it in your name. All you have to do is cooperate. I will pay for it. I will do that whole process. And then it will close the day the probate's done, and you'll get your money and you can wash your hands of this whole place. When you can give them a situation like that, especially when there's siblings throughout the country involved, and you tell the sibling that's how simple you're going to make it for them by fronting the money from the probate and getting it done, and me having a relationship with you, Al, to where I know it's getting done the right way, and I know when they call you they have a good experience, and I can give you business that way. I'm probably doing 10 of them a year. And you, if you have a probate and it's someone that needs to sell a house, sometimes you can refer them out to multiple investors like me, so the deals come back that way too. I mean, you obviously can't push someone my way, but you can give the person, at least you're doing a crazy probate for them and the house is in disrepair, you can point them in the right direction. Say, hey, there's a couple of different companies in Jacksonville that do really well with this. You should talk to them and get offers and pick the best one. When you do that and I give you business, it creates a great synergetic relationship. And it really is a great service for that. I mean, one I remember that happened recently on Orr Court in Southside area. It was a great little house, but it was just all messed up. And like one sibling was in Jersey, one was in New York, and the house not only needed a probate, but had a bunch of liens and judgments on it. And it was like all they had to do was wipe their hands of it and let us take care of the whole process. And yes, we made money off it, but they knew we made money off it, and it was easy for them, and they still got the money they wanted on the back end. So probates are the biggest win-win, feel-good deals that you can do, because by the end of it, the person that sold you the house is always like, every time they're like, wow, like you made that really, really easy. But once again, it's not me doing the work. It's not being a lone wolf in this business. It's having great partners that you know are going to take care of them and get it done. Someone like you, Al, understands how and why we want these done quickly. Because in real estate investing, time kills deals, it destroys it, right? The longer you take to do that probate, the more time they have to think and talk to more people and be like, you're selling it for what? And it's like, I'm selling it for that, but I don't have to do any of this work. But still, people getting their ears, and you understand. Someone like you understands has to be done quickly. You understand that these people can get squirrely sometimes, and you understand how to sell them and get them to the closing table. So
there's so many.
That's my probate TED talk right there.
And yeah, you've seen it, like, even, I mean, I think I've got my own quote now when it comes to probate, and I thought of it like a week and a half ago. It's true. Probate is just another real estate transaction with a puzzle. It's nothing different than you just making the offer, doing the work, getting it to the closing, pulling the title. We do the probate. It's like it's finding the right people and making it understandable, making it so that it's not going to be a complicated. I remember somebody asking me about like this flyer, and it was just like, okay, so 3 to 5 months is this, 9 to 11 months is this, 1 to 2 years is this, and I'm like, what is this thing? Like, we don't even use those words. Like, I barely see it. 70% of all probates never have to use a personal representative or even get into any of that stuff, and it's just crazy. And I'm glad you see the positives to it, and how it's it could be a fruitful side.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's where we can offer our best service, right? Is we offer them up not only the fact that we're buying their house from them and taking it up, but we also offer up the connection of having a great probate attorney and fronting the money for it. So it really is like, that's where it comes full circle, where I'm in no opinion that wholesaling is God's work by any means. Some people swear by it. I'm doing Jesus's work by wholesaling houses. Not the case. But I do feel much better about doing it in the service we offer when it is full circle. Like we're fronting the money. We're taking, $2,500 worth of risk, doing this, helping you out, and giving it through our probate attorney who, you can have a shitty probate attorney. Like, we're making sure it gets done for you. So probate deals are usually pretty feel-good deals for us. We feel like we've done a really good job, and that's thanks to you for the people that we buy their houses.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting it done. You're helping somebody out with something that either they didn't know about or an asset that they have. And some of these properties could be great spreads. I mean, I've seen them; they could be $100,000 spread. It's crazy if you find things like that. So I'm glad, again, it's been a fruitful part of the business for the Yellowbird company. Pat, I couldn't get you off this podcast, and we're concluding, but I couldn't get you off this podcast without talking about one of the craziest, biggest accomplishments you've had recently, and that was being the Best Buddies champion for 2020. You are yeah, I mean, I know you definitely can talk about this, but something I think you can say you learned in 2020 was strategic philanthropy, and talk about a time to do it too. I mean, you're starting in January, February, March, and everybody's out there, everybody's going to meet, and then COVID hits, and it's such a different way to do things. I know it's got to be crazy. What a story. But, talk to us about that strategic philanthropy for those that either want to get involved in it or, what has it done to change you?
So it did change me a lot. And I'll start with this. One of our mantras at Yellowbird is what's most important is never urgent, and what's urgent is never important. And that rings so true in the charitable give back space. I am not going to come across, I don't want to come across as this guy that's huge into charity. I spend all this time and money doing it. I wasn't. I was way focused on Yellowbird. Charity was always something I wanted to do. I wanted to give back, but I just never, my excuses, right? Never had the time. I never had the money. I'm always putting it back into the business. After coronavirus, me and Wally Conway, we try to get beers a couple times a year, and just we're both academy guys. We get along really well. We both spend a lot of time on the ocean. Wally way more than me,
right?
But we both spent some time on the ocean. And I think it was probably the fall. So Yellowbird was coming out of coronavirus. I was crazy busy. We were trying to ramp everything back up. Did not have a lot of spare time. And Wally's like, yeah, Pat, so you should be a Best Buddies champion this year. And I was like, first of all, I knew Wally was involved in Best Buddies. I didn't know what it took to be a champion. I was kind of like, Wally, like, I'm busy as hell. We're coming out of this. And Wally's like, no, you're going to be a Best Buddies champion this season. And I was like, yeah, okay, Wally. I mean, Wally's done so much for us, and he's got wisdom way beyond what I have. So I was, yes, I am. I'm going to do it. And I didn't have, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have a great attitude about it at first, but I was like, I'm doing it for Wally. I don't care what it is. I'm going to win it. But it's going to be kind of a pain in my ass to do it. They'd be right or wrong for me saying that. At least I'm being honest. Right. And then the more I got involved, the more I met my mission partner, Cordell, the more me and Caroline planned it and planned these events, and the more Wally got me involved in the idea of strategic philanthropy, the more it really clicked for me. And watching Cordell at our networking, or not our networking events, but our charity events where he came to, where he was so involved, and hearing Cordell talk about Best Buddies, like in my mind, Best Buddies was like something Cordell's parents made him do, right? Like, hey man, like Cordell, you have idea, intellectual disability, like you're going to be involved in this program. Like something they shoved him in, where that is not the case at all with Best Buddies. Like Cordell is incredibly grateful. The rest of the people with IDDs are incredibly grateful for this program, and they love it, and they're all in. So it was energizing for me to see that they cared so much, and it was such an important part of their life. So that struck me as, you know what, this is really, really changing people's lives. And it's taking someone that had trouble making friends because they have an IDD, and it's giving them friends, it's giving them careers, it's giving them better paths in life, so they don't, rather than take that path of drugs and alcohol and sitting on the couch, these people are getting careers and being productive members of society, and they're good people, and they just have, it's something that they can't control. Right. So that's the first part that struck me with Best Buddies specifically. I'm still involved, and that they asked me to be on the board, so we'll see if that happens. But I want to touch on strategic philanthropy too, because like I said, I had a bad attitude about it at first, but I wanted to win. So we set up these charity events to where I enjoyed doing them, and I enjoyed what we were doing. We had cigar and whiskey night at my house where everyone paid $200 to hang out with Kyle, and we drank whiskey and smoked cigars and talked real estate. And my wife couldn't yell at me for it because it was for charity, right? And we had like, what was the other one? We had our biggest fundraiser was like a bunch of real estate guys paid, a huge donation to come out in Kyle's Sprinter van. We bought everybody dinner and just had a night out in town and talked real estate. And all this stuff was fun. And like Cordell met up with us, and everyone was drinking beers and having a good time. So it's just strategic philanthropy is a unique thing. I did all this stuff. I hung out with my friends. People would make fun of me that I charged people to hang out with me, but I don't give a shit. Right. It all went 100% to charity. Right. And that's what struck home with. So Best Buddies is a great program. The charity thing, it's the easiest thing to put off, but it is important. And strategic philanthropy, you can do it by not only Wally's thing is it can benefit you, it can be fun for you, and you're also being philanthropic when you do it. So I made more connections. I hung out with people that I do deals with every day. In the end, we probably made money off, all these trips just because I'm in front of people I do business with every day. So giving back in a strategic sort of way that can also benefit you, and it's fun. And that's what I discovered during it, and it was a great experience. And we won, which I said I would in the beginning, but we did win, and it was awesome. We raised a bunch of money. It was fun.
Yeah, you did it, Pat. I mean, we're all impressed. You did it, and it's amazing. You are the Best Buddies champion for 2020. How can people get involved with that kind of strategic philanthropy? Is it just as simple as joining, or is it simple as just going to the that kind of community? How do people get involved?
I think it's very easy to get involved. And I would say get involved in something that you specifically are passionate about and really touches you. And once you find your thing, I think it's very, very easy to get involved. I think it's as easy as asking. Best Buddies is always looking for people. If you have if you want to be a champion next year, or if you want to support a champion or volunteer or donate, they will be all about it and they will love you for it. Some advice I would give is it helps even more if you're really, really passionate about what you are being philanthropic about. Not that I'm not passionate about Best Buddies, but I was never exposed to that. I don't have any, it didn't touch me in the way it touches other people. I'm closer in my life. Things that have touched me before are friends and things that have happened, struggle with depression, drugs, suicide, things like that. So my plan in 2021 is to get more involved in those communities, just because I have been very touched by that instead. So I just think there's people that connect more to a certain charity. I think if you connect to it and in your life you've been touched by it, it just hits harder and it means more to you than just, they're all good, but that would be my advice for someone looking to get involved. Think about the world and think about what problems it has in it and which ones have really affected your life. And for me, it's those things. And I've put it off for years and years. And in 2021, I'm gonna get more involved in those communities because I have theories on depression and drug use and that sort of thing that I think I can lift up that community and be a real positive. I can have a really positive impact on it.
Well, that's amazing, the reaction that it had for you, because I mean, you weren't exposed to it before, you dived right in, you won, but then you also realized, well, I really enjoyed it. And where's the focus that is most passionate to me? Like what matters, what issues really matter to me? And then, like you said, it forces you to dive in even deeper because it impacts you as a person. So that's amazing, Pat. I mean, I couldn't get you off the podcast without talking about that, because overall you are an amazing guy. You're an investor, you're a leader, and you're big in this community. So of course, you're well-rounded in all aspects, which is a unique trait on its own. So, hey, again, loved having you on the show. How can people get in touch with you? And most importantly, for anybody that watches, who are you looking to reach out to you to connect with you? That may not just be the investor, maybe it is the investors or lenders or title companies, but who are you looking to get a hold of Pat Flynn?
I'd say two groups of people right now. It would be anyone who's looking to get into wholesaling or flipping houses or finding deals. I can jumpstart that, and just by telling you what I would do. I can't hold your hand through it, but if you reach out to me, come to Breakfast with Kyle, come to Pints with Pat, and you're gonna have a huge jumpstart. You will get more value out of that than you will spending $50,000 at Fortune Builders, and it's free, and we pay for your beer. It's crazy, and I really, truly believe that you will get more value out of that 45 minutes, and you will eventually make more money in Jacksonville than if you spent 50 grand on Fortune Builders. We just want to grow our network and do more deals is our goal. The other person to reach out is, as Yellowbird grows, we're always looking to raise money. So that private investor that wants to put some money to work, and it's secured through first mortgages on the houses we flip, or any of the other projects we have going on. We're always looking to put money to work too. So high net worth people looking to put money to work in real estate and be part of bigger deals, and new people just starting out that need that kick or need that direction in the beginning, which can be hard. And the best way to reach me is I'm everywhere on Facebook and our Yellowbird group. You can find me very, very easily, but my email is pat@yellowbirdre.com. So pat@yellowbirdrealestate.com, yellowbirdre.com. But we're everywhere. I mean, if you reach out on any of our platforms and just ask for me, it's pretty easy to get a hold of me.
Yeah. And for everybody watching out there that is in tune with Pat and is more interested in learning about even the Yellowbird community, you have to find the Yellowbird group. It's a Facebook group. It's probably one of the most valuable Facebook groups I see out there. One of the most active too, the Yellowbird real estate investors. Got Pat and Kyle sitting there with the Yellowbird in the background. Tons of valuable information. Anytime you ever had a question about anything, lending, flipping, mortgage lending, private lending, whatever it is, when you post there, there's loads of people that will provide answers. You will always see somebody that provides a comment or a like or an answer. So, Pat, again, thanks to you and Kyle and Steve and everybody at Yellowbird for really, even still to this day, making the Yellowbird group moving. It's still alive. It's going, whether it's community and company. And I can't wait for 2021. Hopefully everything opens back up. The requirements change and we can have the group again, however it's going to work. But again, Pat, I got you. I pinned you down and I'm so happy you were able to spend some time and talk to me today about
this. Was awesome, man. We did an hour and a half and it felt like, I'm looking at the clock right now. It's almost 6. I felt like 20 minutes. Honestly did. Like it flew, didn't it?
I told you I had some good things to talk about here. So I was prepared. What's funny is because if we would have done this 2 months ago, I don't know what the whole lineup would have been, but I think over time, just like anything in life, practice and practice and practice, it makes a difference. And I kind of gotten tuned with what's going on. And when I get off the show right now, I'm all of a sudden going to go, hey, I'm going to do that different. I'm going to do that different. So it's all life. It's all experience. So Pat Flynn, thanks again for being on the show, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, if you want more content like this, make sure you go check out the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel. I have content on probate, quiet title partitions, and of course, I'm going to have this podcast here with Pat Flynn because it was an amazing podcast hearing everything from community to real estate to strategic philanthropy, tons of content and other podcasts of other people, all in the Florida State real estate community. So if you want to check that out, go check out the channel, and I'll see you next time on the Al Nicoletti Show. Take care.